Attention, all Willis the Silas fans. I'm back from my bi-monthly YouTube break. My apologies. I got conscripted into defending the planet from illegal aliens. It spent 2 weeks of my life shooting the bug instead of eating it. Anyway, we have a code red, WillisCon 1. On this day, 2 years ago, I uploaded what has become my most popular video, my Boomer Shooter tier list. Despite having uploaded numerous videos that I believe are objectively better in quality, this one has remained at the top. This has frustrated me greatly because this video is shit. It was rushed with a fairly minimal script and, quite frankly, half-assed at times. I think I genuinely made this over the course of a weekend with some work done the week prior. Doesn't matter, we're fixing it now. And, just because I haven't mentioned it in a video yet, thank you for 2,000 subscribers. I'm going to treat this as a sort of 2,000 sub special. Trust me, from this video on, we here at the Willis Silas channel are going to give you nothing but the highest tier of white boy video essay slop. And don't worry, most of it will be Barney. Now, before we get to the actual list, we need a bit of a preface. You can think of the next section of this video as a sort of EULA. You can skip it, but if you find a problem that the next section covers, too bad. I don't care. Go ahead, leave me a comment, an angry one. Tell me why I should be castrated because I think this 30-year-old shooter is worse than the other 30-year-old shooter. You're all a part of my game. I keep throwing that term around, but what does it actually mean? Well, I believe a boomer shooter is this. A first-person shooter that has a strong focus on fast-paced gameplay, a large variety of guns, usually around 7 to 9, maze-like maps that gate progression through the acquisition of colored keys, and generally has an old-school approach to the overall design of the game. It also sort of matters when the game was released because then you could split it into two categories, boomer shooters and retro shooters, with the former having a release window of somewhere between 1992 and 2001, and the latter having a release window of the mid or late 2010s to the present day. It's also context sensitive per game, so Quake would be a boomer shooter, but Dusk would be a retro shooter, even though it shares almost the exact same design philosophies. Throughout this video, I will be referring to all games listed as boomer shooters for the simple reason that it's all the same fucking gameplay. You run around big-ass maps and press buttons, flip switches, or collect the red, yellow, and blue keycards, and shoot lots and lots of things. It's the same gameplay, same design, same feel. Shut up, Chuddy. Now that we've defined what a boomer shooter is, I'd like to do a little bit more of a preface before the actual tier list begins. 1. All games featured in this video I have played through at least one time. If you notice there's only gameplay of the first or second level of a given game, it's likely because that game does not have a level select within its menus and/or does not have a level select command. I wouldn't rate these games if I haven't played them. That would be fucking stupid. 2. This tier list is primarily based on how much I enjoyed these games, not how I think they would objectively compare to each other. If it were based on objective comparison, it'd be a little bit different, and it should be noted that there is maybe some degree of objectivity to how I mentally compare them, but this is still just how much I liked each of these games. An example of what I mean as to the objectivity is like, I would always rank Quake higher than Doom because it took the gameplay of Doom and moved it to the third dimension with an arguably more interesting art style and overall more polished gameplay. 3. I do not hate any of these games. I like all of them to some extent. When I made the original video, I was a foolish, naive young blood, just trying to make a name for myself, filled with rage, so to speak. Some of the qualms I've had with some of the games on the original list came off a little aggressive, but since I've hit official UNC status, I have softened in my mentality. All of the hatred has left my heart, and now all I know is peace. Now, the actual tier list may begin. Starting off this entire list, we have Nightmare Reaper. First, I would like to apologize to the developer of this game, as he left a comment on the original tier list video. My words then were harsh and misguided. I have since mended my heart and found happiness within my life. That being said, I still don't really like the game that much, but let it be known, it's not in a way where I think is objectively bad, it just ain't my cup of tea. I like my roguelikes, I like my boomy shooties, but I don't think I like them mixed together. It's kind of like when you're at Thanksgiving and the mashed potatoes collide with the green beans on your dinner plate. I, for one, am not a fan of this phenomenon. Others would disagree. Such is life. For what it's worth, I do enjoy a lot of the weapons in the game, and the unnerving ambience of the hospital hub world, but I just feel iffy on it. This is the second game in the list where I literally screamed about it in the original video, but now I just don't care anymore. I really have very few words to say on it, as I haven't played it since the first tier list video. It looks very nice, and I can say I don't mind it being so flat anymore because I realize it's like Wolfenstein, and I played Wizardom recently, so inner peace. Project Warlock doesn't stick in my mind very much, but I don't think it's bad. Hell, it got an update like earlier this year, so the devs still care about it, which is good.
REDUX Cruel!
I actually got some shit to say about Wrath. This game is very polarizing to me. I initially enjoyed it, quite a bit actually, but as it went on, problems started to creep up on me. This game's strongest point is its art direction. This honestly is one of the best looking boomer shooters I've ever played. The enemy models look great, the weapon models are especially good, and the environments are incredibly detailed. That art direction is a little misplaced, however, because a lot of the things about this game really fucking suck. Just about every enemy is a nuisance to go up against, with some being downright fucking horrible. The level lengths are especially horrid. Shorter levels are around 20 minutes long, but by the end of the game, some of these take damn near an hour. One especially bad component is the bosses. They're actually just fucking terrible. I know most boomer shooters aren't known for their good boss fights, but it can be done, and this game certainly does not do them well. The only reason this game is on C tier and not in D tier is mainly because it looks so good for this kind of game. I can tell there was a real effort to make something cool here, but for me, it falls flat and annoys me too much. This is the big one, the one that already pissed off a lot of people. And you know what? I don't care. I stand by my previous ranking of Doom and Doom 2, which are now a joint package on Steam. I like Doom. I love Doom. I've played all of them except for Doom 3, and I acknowledge the importance that the original games have had on the video game industry as a whole. They're good, simple shooters with extreme modding capability and extreme replayability. In my mind, however, they were already outdone in the same decade they came out. Hell, within the same 5 years. I think all three of the Build Engine trilogy, that being Shadow Warrior, Blood, and Duke Nukem, took what Doom and Doom 2 did and just did more with it. It was the same gameplay with more varied, detailed, and destructible environments with more bombastic weaponry. Now, you could make the argument that through modding you can make Doom better than any of those three games, but then you're not really comparing Doom and Blood anymore, are you? You're comparing Doom and some tech wizards' digitized donor organs stitched onto the base of Doom in the form of more levels, weapons, music, and monsters, against just Blood. It's not fair to say that one game is better than another simply because you can mod it more. You stray further and further from the source material and any credible argument each time you even consider downloading H-Doom. Anyway, that's my piece on that topic. Doom plus Doom 2 is great. You get the most complete collection of classic Doom to date, with most of their major expansions thrown in just to give you more shit to do. This is what makes it kind of weird to compare this game to others, because it's like, do I use the original version of just Doom 1 by itself, or this version with Doom 1, Doom 2, Plutonia Experiment, TNT Evolution, Master Levels for Doom 2, No Rest for the Living, Sigil, Sigil 2, and Legacy of Rust? It's a tricky question, but here's my thought process. If you take a bowl of Cocoa Puffs, then throw in 30 more bowls of Cocoa Puffs, are you happier, or do you feel like the value has been lost in the sea of chocolate? Truly a philosopher's dilemma. This one's gotten a bit more coverage in the past few years, which is good. I think Doom 64 deserves the recognition. I rank it higher than the original Doom games because I like the visuals more. No, really, that's it. Colored lighting can really do wonders for the atmosphere of Space Station and hell. This might be a better Doom game in some regards, but it is the same concept with a very pretty coat of paint. I also enjoy the modified weapon pool. The double chainsaw is neat, and of course the Unmaker is an interesting addition. Good game, it's okay.
Heretic.
I'm not a huge fan of Warhammer, so I can't really say much about Bolt Gun. I played Necromunda Hired Gun, loved that game, and have some rudimentary knowledge of some of the factions from watching Total Warhammer 3 videos, but that's about it. So my appreciation for Bolt Gun isn't super high. I certainly think it's good, but otherwise I don't feel anything particularly strong about it. One weird thing about it though, all the characters are 2D sprites, but the world and weapon projectiles are all 3D models. So like the environments are relatively low detail, not like insanely low, but then the character sprites are super detailed in comparison. Just a weird little thing about its visuals. Still a good game, though. The second most brown game on this list, Hrot, still remains a nightmarish Czechoslovakian life simulator that I barely understand. There is no story to Hrot. Everything present within the game is a reference to Czech life in the 80s. Yes, it is true. There were indeed floating Lenin heads patrolling the streets, and clones of the guy from Stalker were also just kind of roaming around. This is the first game on the list that I actually did a full review on, but I don't recommend you watch that one. It was kind of doo-doo. Anyway, yes, this game is very brown, but that isn't a bad thing inherently. In this case, it serves as a way of communicating to the player that life in Europe is very bleak. Slayers X is a very weird game. And no, I'm not reading out the whole title. It has some of the ugliest cutscenes I've seen in a game, but I can tell it's very purposeful. Really, this whole game is just insanely cheesy. The entire idea here is, what would a teenager in the 90s think is cool? Throw it all in a game. Every enemy and weapon is like something I could see a bored high schooler drawing in a notebook. It goes even further by featuring self-censorship, just so mom and dad won't get mad. It's actually a very well-polished game, despite how it may look, but what sucks is it's really short, like 10 levels short. There are some extra levels you unlock after finishing the final mission, and those are a fair bit harder than the other ones, but still, it's a very short game. I'd still say it's worth checking out if you're a major fan of the genre, and a fan of this kind of humor. The first of two early access games on this tier list, Incision, excites me. It trades out the sea of brown color palette from Quake and instead does red. Lots and lots of red. Unlike a lot of the other games on this list, Incision places a decent amount of focus on the story, with little tidbits of information being revealed through these small sparks. You'll look at it, and your character will go on a little spiel about whatever it is. There are also some cutscenes, and I really love how these are done. They're these hyper-compressed FMVs that look a lot like the cutscenes from Blood, but not as genuinely hideous. Also, like Blood, your character dies in the very first cutscene. Through some kind of transformation, they are reborn into some kind of hyper-violent creature. Most of the creatures in the game are violent, as they should be. Earth has been through some kind of apocalypse where everyone was killed and/or turned into biomechanical beings. It's like the Strogg from Quake got to Earth, but they made things a lot more industrial. That's actually what I love the most about this game, the industrial environments mixed with the ever-present color red, and lots of badass guns. It's a very appealing atmosphere for me. Trust me guys, you're gonna love this one. Blood, we're bumping it from C to B, one whole letter. The main reason is I actually played the game from start to finish and reviewed it for a Halloween video. This game has vibes and aesthetics over everything else, beating the other two of the Build Engine games outright. But I think those games have slightly better level design and generally more balanced gameplay, so they're ranked just a bit higher. I used to think this game's main problem was that it was literally just too hard for the average person. I do think it's generally harder than Duke Nukem and Shadow Warrior, but it is one of those cases where the player's skill can beat anything the game may throw at you. The cultists may have hit scan, but you have dynamite. The player is equally capable of causing mass destruction within a given fight. It's just up to you to get the skill to do so. I love the whole horror atmosphere they got going for the entire game, and I actually do like Caleb as a protagonist more than Lo Wang or Duke, but again, I like those games more as a whole. Blood has many elements I enjoy, but whenever I think about playing it, I think, oh, I gotta deal with Blood again. Not a bad game by any means, a great game even, but I just like the other Build Engine games more. The granddaddy of all modern shooters, Quake, I like very, very much. Being a sort of stepping stone game for the genre, it's very simple, but that is what makes it work so well. There's a certain beauty in running through these evil brick hallways, blasting otherworldly creatures with your rocket launcher, all to the tune of evil fucking ambience. If there's one thing I think Quake excels at more than any other game, it's atmosphere. The combination of the ambient background tracks with these nonsensical and hostile environments, along with the odd mixture of knights, marines, and creatures, makes for a certain feel that no other game has really given me, and I can't think of another game that has really tried this. Luckily, Night Dive gave us an incredible remaster of the game a few years back that included all of the original expansions, plus their own expansion, Dimension of the Machine, and another semi-official one, Dimension of the Past. There's also cross-platform multiplayer, so you can play Deathmatch and capture the flag with all of your friends, even those on a Switch Lite. If there's any game you should play that's on this list, it's Quake. Though, who am I kidding? If you're watching this video and you're this far in, you've played Quake before. Don't try to hide from me, I see that 200 hours of playtime. My second favorite build engine game, Shadow Warrior, or rather Shadow Warrior Redux, is a glimpse into the culturally rich world of Chinese action movies. Absurd amounts of bullets flying, ludicrous explosions, bathing women.
Oh, what you eat anyway, baby?
Yeah, we've hit every check on the list. In the original video, I had admitted that I hadn't actually finished the game yet, like a fucking amateur. I have since rectified this grievous sin, so it no longer weighs on my conscience. And yeah, it's good. I still think the only issue with the game is that it's a little secret heavy, where some levels can be a tad bit cryptic, but when you have a portable nuke launcher, well, that fixes a lot of problems. Cream of the crop build engine goodness. Duke Nukem 3D, absolute banger, in my opinion, one of the best shooters in the 90s. It's got great guns, beautiful urban environments, and just like Shadow Warrior, women. Where Shadow Warrior was a Chinese action movie, Duke Nukem 3D is an American action movie. Big jacked guy with one of the best shotguns in any game ever. Seriously, this is proof that you can make a good shotgun without it needing to be a double barrel. Game developers, take notes. The version I've played is Duke Nukem 3D World Tour, the 20th anniversary version of the game. It includes a 5th episode, Alien World Order, which is easily my favorite episode of the game. Each level is themed around a specific location in the real world. It's a good time. This may seem a little unfair, given that this game isn't done yet, but that should speak to the sheer quality of the game itself. This is the modern man's blood, with some of the most satisfyingly crunchy sound effects I've heard in any of these games so far. Really, a lot of why I like this game comes down to how good it feels to shoot the various guns you get. The pistol is incredible, and actually worth using if you aim for the head, but I love the lever action rifle. It already does high damage, but on a headshot, it is just so fucking clean. And if it wasn't obvious enough to you that this game was heavily inspired by Blood, one of the weapons is a dynamite bundle, and it functions very similarly to how it functions in Blood. Light that shit up, struggle with comprehending the throwing physics, then big boom. This game would likely be much higher on the list, but due to the simple fact that it ain't done, it's gotta get a stunted score from me. What is here is wonderful, and I very much want more, but all the other games above this are complete packages. There is the interlude level, set 2 months after the events of the first episode, and I don't know why, but even a year and a half after originally playing this, I still love this one level more than most of the other ones. The revolver and shotgun combo works beautifully, and the level itself taking place in a police department office is such a simple idea, but it works so well. I very much look forward to this game getting some more levels added, but we may be waiting a while for that. Who knows? Yet another game I've done a review for, though like it's kinda sloppy. Dread Templar blew me away the first time I played it. I genuinely thought of it as New Dusk. Now that I've beaten it and played it on and off a little, I wouldn't say it's that good, but it's still great on its own. Weapon selection is a bit basic until you get the demonic revolver, rocket launcher, gauntlets, and trap launcher. I really love the weapon upgrade system where you pick specific upgrade runes to use. They'll do things like increase ammo capacity, decrease reload times, etc. But the final tier upgrade will radically change the weapon. Example, the shotguns. You can only use one final tier upgrade for both your shotgun and super shotgun. This means you have to make the choice of either making your normal shotgun turn icy and shoot chunks of ice, or change the super shotgun into a demonic variant that fires off discs of evil energy. It's like this with a good portion of the weapons, so there's a lot of variety in the builds you can use. The one thing I kinda don't like is how many of them are locked behind secrets, because that means the average player won't find most of them, and it's like one of the main appeals of the weapon upgrade system. Nonetheless, good game.
The way you die.
Now this is, in my humble internet man opinion, the best build engine game. No, we're not talking about Redneck Rampage, we don't like that one. Ion Fury, a masterclass in engine reuse. I mean really, this is the build engine we're talking about. 30 years old, goodness me. Ion Fury does what each build engine game did before this, that being highly detailed maps with props made of voxels and wicked explosions. Ion Fury does all of those things, but cranked to 11. There are tons of little objects you can interact with that have absolutely zero impact on gameplay. They just exist to make this fictional world more believable. The weapons here are just spectacular, my favorite being the bowling bomb. One of them is a pair of SMGs that function almost identically to the Uzis in Shadow Warrior, but these ones fire incendiary ammo, just to one-up Lo Wang. Of course, the revolver is a thing of beauty, and the ion bow is an incredible super weapon. The soundtrack is bumpin', the levels are great, and the enemies are very, very fun to shoot. Still waiting for that DLC. Nothing ever happens. Proteus, what can I say that I haven't already? It's the closest thing to a modern day Doom, and it has a whole lot of weapons. A bit too many. I still believe that weapon redundancy is the biggest problem Proteus faces. A lot of the weapons are extremely satisfying to use, but won't be used much because the next gun in the same category is just the same thing but better. The one exception I can think of is the shotgun and super shotgun, where the shotgun has much better range and accuracy, but less damage to compensate. The super shotgun is, as it should be, the total meat grinder. I don't really have more to say on Proteus. I just hope that DLC comes out relatively soon. This is one of the more recent titles that I've played through, and it genuinely surprised me just how good this game is. At first, it may look a little dinky, given the obvious similarity to Wolfenstein 3D, but that's where it gets you. The treasure in this game actually has value, because you'll need it to upgrade each weapon and get other various character upgrades between each level. The weapons in question are very good, and really surprised me with how satisfying they are to use. You'll start with a simple fire ring, which lets you shoot fireballs, but you'll get much better weaponry very quickly, like a shotgun that fires off magical rocks, a pair of gauntlets that shoot lightning, and an evil grimoire that clears the screen of anything that dares exist. The art style should also be mentioned because, while very simple and almost cartoonish, it's very pleasant to look at. Very bright, high contrast colors really sells the high fantasy vibe they were going for here. The level design is also very noteworthy because they do a lot with this Wolfenstein type of level design. The key difference is Wolfenstein simulated 3D but was actually completely flat, where this game is actually 3D but keeps you on one elevation at a time. Doors act more like portals or teleporters, as do ladders, but that doesn't diminish the immersion. The variety of locations within these levels is also really nice. There's one level that takes place entirely within a giant boat filled with goblins. There's one that's an ancient temple in a swamp. Episode 3 has especially cool locales, lots of ice mountain and evil mineshaft. Surprisingly good game, very much recommend. I finally played Quake 2 once Night Dive remastered it because the original version of the Steam port was borked. It's far better than I presumed it would be. The weapons are a big improvement on the loadout from Quake 1, especially with the introduction of the BFG 10,000. Quake 2 did it before Doom Eternal. Id Software is plagiarizing from themselves. There's no point into me making a note of that. Anywho, rather than a nail gun, you get a light machine gun, a chain gun to replace the super nail gun, a moderately better super shotgun, and depending on the expansion, various bombs, gadgets, and gizmos. The overall design has been roped in a bit too, where Quake was a mix of tech bases and gothic castles, all wrapped in a layer of cosmic horror. Quake 2 brings it all back to purely science fiction. Most maps in this game are very industrial. There's very few maps that take place outside, but it makes sense when paired with the story. This is another thing Quake 2 did better than the first. There's an actual central narrative that explains why you are doing what you are doing. Quake 1 had you playing as a space marine going through slip gates to kill anything that wasn't human, all to kill the being known as Quake. This meant the developers could kind of just do anything with the levels. It didn't really matter what locations they were trying to depict. Quake 2 has you once again playing as a space marine, but in this scenario, Earth is at war with a Strogg, an alien race that fuses organic matter with machinery to create evil creatures and expand their empire. The levels in Quake 2 have you on the Strogg's home planet, and you are rampaging through their military bases, basically taking them out from the inside. The soundtrack, while not necessarily better, is much closer to my taste in music. Quake 1 had atmosphere, Quake 2 has raw energy. If you get the Steam version, it includes all of the expansions that were released for the game in the 90s, as well as a whole new expansion, Call of the Machine, which I think has some of the best levels in the entire game, and it uses a Quake 1 Shambler as the final boss. And before I forget to mention it, this version of Quake 2 has crossplay with the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation versions, so all of your silly little friends can shoot each other in the wonderfully simple deathmatch mode. Overall, Quake 2 is a great package that I firmly think you should buy. A true gem this one is. Postal Brain Damage still remains as a top 10 boomer shooter for me, mainly because of the irreverent humor. This game is less a boomer shooter with postal elements and more a postal game with boomer shooter elements. Sounds weird, but just think on it for a moment, it'll click. It's got relatively straightforward levels, but they're big, open, and have a lot of little interactable objects placed throughout. The locations of these levels are also incredible. Notable locations include the US-Mexico border, including Tramp's Wall, a convention comparable to E3, may it rest in peace, and space. The guns, if falling into some cliches, are still very punchy and satisfying. And I mean cliches by like, the super shotgun has a hook like Doom Eternal, the assault rifle just as a whole, except the time bomb thing, that's neat. The rocket launcher is just a rocket launcher, this one is just the BFG, you get what I mean. Some of them are more unique, however, like the shovel having a blade on the end, or the pussy blower requiring you to suck the cats back into the vacuum to conserve ammo and do the maximum damage that it can do. There is, also, the piss, which has 3 consumable items to change its properties. I think just like Postal 2 in terms of weaponry, it's doing a lot of shit that other games do, but with that signature Postal charm, so it's okay in the end. We love it regardless. I would also like to note the final boss, as it is, to put it professionally, cool as fuck.
Kill him.
Starting off S tier with an absolute banger of a game, we have Medieval. I think this game deserves more credit than it gets, especially within the New Blood community, which is 90% Ultrakill fans. It acts as a modern-day heretic and/or Hexen type of game, but without the bullshit puzzles or class weaknesses. Medieval has you playing as the champion, someone who retrieved this sweet axe from the Black Labyrinth, and now you gotta go kill evil itself. Medieval is a very colorful game, which I really appreciate compared to a lot of the other games of this type. The weapons here are also spectacular. None of them feel useless or shitty. They're all very, very satisfying to use. Example, the Trident shoots bolts of lightning. When an enemy has died from the Trident's bolts, they flash blue. Keep shooting them, and they will explode, electrocuting any nearby enemies. This can be used to clear entire groups of smaller foes. You also get Bubbles, a staff that shoots planets, and the axe I previously mentioned, among some others. What this game does that I especially like compared to others is a raw spectacle. It's very grandiose in how it presents its locations and bosses. It's kind of like if you took the concept of a symphonic power metal album like anything Rhapsody has made and made that idea into a game. That probably sounds really stupid, but that's just how my silly brain conceptualizes this. When you finish the game, if you want more, it has an expansion, a prequel expansion, where you play through the Black Labyrinth to obtain the axe that is your starting weapon in the base game. To replace it, you get your own damn fists, which to this day still has the most satisfying punches from a fist weapon in any game I've played. I have previously covered this expansion in another video, so if you'd like to know more, I would start there. It's a super good expansion for a super good game. I highly recommend it. A modern-day classic. Dusk used to be at the top of this tier list, but has since been demoted in the wake of another game surpassing it, at least in my opinion. I also reviewed the entirety of the game as last year's Halloween special, so I won't go into terrible detail here, though I already kinda don't have to. Dusk's main strength is its simplicity. It was made to be a modern-day Quake equivalent, in terms of gameplay, not popularity. It takes the raw, fast-paced action and simple weaponry of Quake and changes the atmosphere from cosmic horror to backwoods, industrial, and cosmic horror. It's 3 for the price of 1. My favorite episode has always been the first, but when I replayed the game for my review of it, I was able to appreciate the second and third episodes much more than when I first played the game like 5 years ago. It's always really easy to get back into the groove of playing Dusk, even when you don't touch it for several months at a time, because it really is that simple. You bunny hop and shoot the bad dudes. What I think makes this game especially better than older titles like Quake and Doom is that it took what those games did and learned from them. It corrects any mistakes or downsides and offers a modern polish that those older titles couldn't. Is this an unfair comparison? Yes, and I don't really care. If you tell me that I can't say this newer game is better than this older game because they're from different time periods and it would be unfair, it's like telling me I can't prefer a metal spoon over a stick. Time marches forward. Things improve. This is the nature of things. Accept it. Ladies and gentlemen, they-thems of all denominations, the time is finally here for the last game on the list. And guess fucking what? It's Turbo Overkill. In the original video, this game was at the bottom of S tier because I had only played the first 2 episodes, as that is all there was at the time. If I had waited like another couple weeks, I would have had the whole game, and that would have swayed my opinion heavily. I genuinely believe that this game, as a full package, is the best boomer shooter styled game that there is. It takes every single idea and mechanic that all of the other games within this genre have used and amps them up, while still remaining distinct. It just does everything better. Your game has a super shotgun, so does mine, and it can shoot grenades, plus set enemies on fire. Your game has a chain gun, so does mine, and it's also a flamethrower. The gun selection is a little typical, but the upgrades are what set them apart from other games with similar weapons. For instance, the weapon you start with, the dual magnums, are dinky little pistols. Very satisfying to shoot, but they are quickly outclassed by just about every weapon. Their alt-fire is a kind of dead-eye type of ability. Hold right-click and look at enemies, up to 5 will get marked. Let go of right-click, and they all get shot at the same time. Very neat, but again, it's still just pistols. In episode 3, you'll get an upgrade that makes them overheat when shot excessively. This turns your pistols into the Insta-Gibber. For a brief period of time, your shots do ludicrous damage, one-shotting most enemies. If you miss a shot, it goes away, and it will go away after a certain amount of shots or when enough time has passed. With a single upgrade, they turned the worst weapon in the game into the best weapon in the game. My personal favorite weapon is the Telefragger. It is a sniper rifle, basically acts as a railgun, think like Quake 2, but if you zoom, then hold the fire button while looking at a small enemy, you will telefrag them, allowing for cross-arena movement. Speaking of movement, that's another thing this game does incredibly well. You get a basic double jump, 2 dashes, and a couple levels in you'll get wall running boots, and eventually a grappling hook. But the bread and butter of the game's movement is the chainsaw leg. Hold control and you'll slide forward, sawing through anything in your way. Do it in the air, and you'll get a boost of momentum wherever you're looking. While sliding, you can also still look around you and fire your weapons. This movement is complemented by the huge arenas you'll be fighting in, so it really gets to shine. Despite being at the top of the tier list, I do think this game has 2 main problems. One, starting in episode 2 and onwards, I think the levels get a bit too long. There's only 8 levels in each episode, so 24 levels in the whole game, but most of them from episode 2 and 3 are like 30 minutes long in a casual playthrough. 2, I think there's just a few too many heavy enemies, and in episode 3, they spawn very, very commonly, to the point where you forget that some of these cybernetically augmented freaks were considered heavy tier monsters. Despite these flaws, I still emphatically encourage you to purchase this game. Like most of the games on this list, it is cheap as hell on Steam, offers major replayability, has a co-op mode, endless mode, and user-made maps. It's got it all. It gets the Willis Thesilis seal of approval. After 2 years, I can finally lay my demons to rest. I have righted my wrongs and made a shitty video into a slightly less shitty video, and learned a thing or 2 along the way. I can now go back to my chrysalis until the next video, which will happen eventually. Many thanks for watching, especially if you made it this far. You got a good attention span on you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.